Welcome to Japan, where they take their pork seriously. Today, we will visit two different restaurants where they prepare pork cutlet dishes in completely different ways. They are like the odd couple of food preparation. Yet, each restaurant comes up with a meal that will make you want to visit Japan just for that very reason. Our first restaurant has a long waiting line for their pork dish to be ready. It's located at the Katsuden Chiyomatsu main store in Osaka, Japan. First, they boil the loin, then cut away the excess fat. They cut the slice 4 centimeters, about 1.7 inches thick for each dish. Everything here is done by hand in a well-worn kitchen the old-fashioned way. Seasoning with some meat tenderizing ingredients is rubbed into the pork on each side. And then the cutlet is flopped around in corn flour and set aside. Under the counter, they've made a butter and egg mix that the coated cutlets will be submerged in before being covered with freshly made tempura flakes. Larger 400-gram cutlets get the same treatment. All ingredients are ready-made and nearby each other for each step of the process. These men make hundreds of pork cutlet dishes each day that sell out, so they know what they're doing. Washing their hands between each step is good enough. This is Osaka, and they like nori seaweed, like the French like their bread. So each dish will get some. That's just how it is here. So the chef gets that ready too. They also like pigs. They think they're cute as well as delicious. So they have lots of little pigs decorating their restaurant. Any questions? This guy in the blue jacket has been waiting here since dawn. He's first and proud of it. He couldn't sleep all night just dreaming about sinking his teeth into that savory pork cutlet and all its trimmings once they're open. Pickles are important too, as well as the pork juice. Yes, they have made a pork broth from boiling the pork and collecting the blood. Add a little secret recipe spice, and it's perfect for boiling those onions in. The oil here is tried and true. No need to start a new batch. This one already has the flavor. The cutlets are fried up for a minute in the oil and then left to cool until the orders come in, and the customer can choose rare, medium, or well done. Medium for me, please. 2 eggs have been stirred and added to the onion sauce and cooked just a little. This is poured on top of a bowl of rice and ready for the pork. The giant cutlets are cut to large chunk size and placed on top. Seaweed and some parsley will be the garnish. No fancy show here, just good food. An extra bowl, a logo flag, and the customers can go find a seat. The dish with 400 grams of pork goes for 2,400 Japanese yen, or $18. Hey, things are expensive in Japan. The line for their food is still around the block, so the process continues. Fry up that pork, keep that mask covering your chin, and keep the egg onion sauce going over the rice. Pork seems to expand when it's cooked. This chop is humongous. Customers are watching, so wear a glove when touching the food. The smaller chop is 350 grams and gets the same amount of rice and other sides. This goes for $13 or 1,750 yen. It still looks like quite the filling meal. Some of that pork sauce juice is added to the top. Seaweed, flag, a crumbling parsley, and off it goes to satisfy one customer's hunger. The rare is pink inside, and the well done is all white. The way it is cooked, each bite is still very juicy. This food is eaten with chopsticks. Do you know which country originated chopsticks? Anyone? Would you be surprised to learn it was Norway? Well, you should be, because it was China. However, since 1200 BC, the use of this utensil spread throughout Asia, and the Japanese eat most things with chopsticks. Here, we can see the pork can be dipped into different salt spices. A caddy of sauces and spices is within each customer's reach. I gotta admit, this onion egg topping looks delicious. And watching the pork chops slice like butter makes me want to fly to Osaka right now. Now, some people crave a sandwich with bread. How about a pork burger? It's so scrumptious, it's probably the best burger you've ever seen. Forget the bun, the meat they will put in between is so thick you need flatter bread to decrease the bite height. Melted cheddar, barbecue sauce, mustard, and that giant cutlet, breaded and all. Yum! Look at this. Being mostly meat makes franchise restaurants look like clowns and kings when it comes to making a meaty sandwich. Fresh ground pepper both spices up and tenderizes the meat. Parsley line served with a sweet potato wedge makes a whopper of a sandwich that will satisfy any carnivore. Some melted cheese sauce on another, and it is the most delectable lunch. This burger costs around $10 US, but will make for the heartiest of lunches to look forward to all day. Now we go to the more meticulous adventure in pork cutlet making at Heki, South Korea, where they show their version of a giant pork cutlet. The meal is equally as appetizing, but the comparison to how it is made will amaze you. First, each vegetable that they will put into the veggie broth is finely blowtorched, like fire to an easel of a broiler's canvas. After all the artwork of browning those greens, they are simply put into a boiling pot to capture their essence for a broth. It looks like some bone is thrown in there too. Add some salt, MSG, sugar, basil, and sprouts too. Wow, look how clean this kitchen is. Everything shines like it's brand new. After hours of boiling, the juice is extracted via strainer and then filtered too. The beef is removed from the ultraviolet clean refrigerator, and with gloved hands is paper absorbed to squeeze out any excess water or precipitated fats. Rub and clean with a paper towel. Excess fat and pretty much anything from the surface that was exposed too much to the elements is removed. This is now one clean, I would say lean, but it looks like this cut prefers the fat, like a bacon, to be added to the chop piece of meat. It is sliced into thick cutlets. With so much excess fat, some of it is cut off to be used for a later purpose. The meat chunks are then put into an ultraviolet refrigeration unit. So, what is ultraviolet light and what does it do? This wavelength of the spectrum has higher energy than visible light. When exposed to this radiation, bacteria, viruses, and some mold spores will wither and die. It is not scary, for we all get exposed from sunlight, and this is what causes skin to tan or burn. So the pork belly is now opened. It is like brisket, a much more tender part of the pork. It has already been sanitized and sliced, yet this restaurant still wishes to clean it with a paper towel. A solution of acidic acid apple vinegar is put into a spray bottle to douse the pork with. This aids in sanitizing any microorganisms. It helps to flavor and tenderize the pork. Flip and do the other side. Does anyone else feel like they are witnessing cooking in an operating room? An assortment of allium vegetables, those in the onion family, are put in a strainer with some meat and boiled. Only their dissolvable essence is extracted for this broth. Soy sauce and tofu paste is added and boiled. In another pot, salt, baking powder, caraway seeds, coriander, pepper, and other spices are added and boiled. The broth from the allium concoction is mixed in. They are white, don't quite look like potatoes. Could be chunks of non-ripe papaya? What's your guess? Anyway, some liquid is added. Now, the pork brisket slices are put in a bag and vacuum sealed. This chef seems a little OCD, don't you think? refrigerate, zap with UV, and now do the same for the pork slices. If these were provisions for a long trip to outer space, I could see this, but they will be used within hours. Many eggs are put into a crystal bowl and electronically whisked. The brisket is now opened and sliced into 4 cm or 1.7 inch chunks. They are sorted and put onto a grill, covered, no germs getting in here, and hit with the UV beams in the refrigerator again. Now this zip-sealed pork is having little slivers put into the top layer. I wonder why. Covering them all in corn flour, then placing them into whipped egg and covered in the tempura flakes. That is Japanese style. Human flesh, so far, has never touched the food in this Korean restaurant. Now for the pork brisket. Flour them up. Bang, bang to get the excess off. Oops, some flour got on the apron. Better go change it. Egg batter and cover with soft tempura. All the cutlets lined up nicely. Fresh new oil goes into the fryer. Then the cut-off pork fat goes into the pan, along with some water, allium greens, and boils it up. Add some basil leaf and greens, and then strain the whole thing into a pan. I know what's in the strainer. With some sauce would make a perfect vegan meal, but no, they add the pork fat grease to the mix. Some green onions, leek, and other greens are added to the water with a bit of oil. On a serving tray, the contents are added into some fine serving dishes. Some slaw and the mystery sticks are placed along with wasabi. Now to fry the cutlets in fresh oil, which come out uniformly crisp. Finally, the special broth is served in covered bowls as a soup or dipping sauce. All are placed on a tray with rice, for in Asia it's not a meal without rice. Cooked to order, 8 pieces of the sliced pork are placed on the tray to be enjoyed with the other side dishes. Served medium, white on the outside, pink on the inside. A bit of chewy fat and meat dipped in sauce is the ultimate meal. This is a modern art of pork cutlet enjoyment. So, both restaurants made Japanese pork cutlets. They are truly different. One, established for decades, old-fashioned Oscar from the Odd Couple style. The other, modern and precisely immaculate, Felix style. Both are absolutely delicious. But which do you prefer? Let us know in the comments below. And if you would like to watch more, please subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to be notified about when our next food video is posted. Bon appetit!